All right, here with his take. I admit it publicly. He's a friend of mine. We don't agree a lot on politics. It's ESPN host. He's a rock star. There is no, as far as I'm concerned, there is no ESPN without my friend Stephen A. Smith. I watched you on The View today. How you doing?
All right. How you doing, Sean? Congratulations on the election, the results.
Thank you.
You called it. You said it was going to happen. I can't refute it. I can't refuse the fact that the president of the United States, the president-elect, is well deserving of it. It was a romp. It was an annihilation. I know a lot of people are trying to, label it like, what, he won a little bit in a lot of different places. I don't want to hear that. He won, and he won in absolutely convincing fashion, so much so that I think that in light of those results, we have to look at this election as a referendum on the Democratic Party in America saying, we're not feeling where you are. We're not feeling where you tried to go. We want no part of it. We're not having it. And they made their choice, and we all have to accept it.
And you were very gracious, by the way, privately. We have our own conversations, and you said that to me, and I'll live with it. And I've had elections that I really wanted my side to win that they lost. And you know what, Stephen A., I go on, and I plow through, and I do my job. There's not going to be retribution. None of the hosts of The View are going to be taken off. I used to go on that show. They wouldn't even they wouldn't accept a conversation with me at this point. Isn't that pretty pathetic? Because I used to like Whoopi Goldberg. Joyless Behar,
listen,
she's a little, yeah.
I would ask that you don't look at the show. What you should look at is the ideological tilt that has taken place in our country. We've gotten to a point where, God forbid, somebody has a difference of opinion and a different form of ideology, then you're damn near the Antichrist. And that's not what makes this country great. I mean, the reality is that, we could sit up there and we could say what we want, and everybody has their different opinions about Donald Trump. You know how I felt. You knew why I didn't vote for him. I don't like the way he behaves. I think the presidency is a statesmanship position, and I think that level of hubris that he's accustomed to showing needs to be dialed back significantly. But having said that, the bottom line is simple. You can look at a lot of things on the right or the left. He talked about the economy. Okay, Biden inherited, what was it, like 1.5% in terms of inflation. It ballooned to over 9.1% before it got dialed down a little bit. We looked at open borders. Barack Obama was once considered the deporter in chief because he actually deported more folks than Donald Trump. But Biden comes into office, and the first thing he does, day one, executive order, he opens the borders. And obviously that created so much tension. And then you look at the culture wars, the identity politics, some of the transgender issues that people were bringing up in terms of individuals transitioning from male to female and wanting to participate in female sports and stuff like that, or sharing the same bathroom as females and all of this other stuff. America said, hey, we're not down for that. We're not going for it. And no matter what you try to throw in our direction, that's not what we're concerned about. We're primarily concerned about the economy. We're primarily concerned about our borders and about being safe. And they voted that way to send that message. And all we've heard over the last couple of days is folks going absolutely bat crazy because the candidate that they preferred to win didn't win. And I just want to take a moment to remind everybody, this is America. Guess what? Sometimes you don't get what you want. But we are known for having intestinal resolve and making sure we're able to march forward and work with whichever candidate ends up being in office and winning, and find a way to work with one another and reach some degree of compromise so we have civility in this country instead of chaos. It's going to be up to Donald Trump to contribute to that, no doubt. But the way I've seen some of the Democrats reacting since Kamala Harris lost, to be quite honest with you, is utterly ridiculous. I'm not going to get into any names, but it's been utterly ridiculous.
One thing, when I'm on your show, I do all the talking. When you're on my show, I let you do all the talking. We kind of have this unspoken agreement because I always, but together when we have conversations, they're really thoughtful conversations. They're real. We keep it real. Okay. You always tell me to stay in my lane politics. I tell you to stay in your lane sports. But you're making a lot of sense tonight, and they would be wise to listen to you. And more importantly, the spirit in which you're telling it, and I give you a lot of credit for that. Here's where I see it, and tell me what you agree or disagree with. They could not run on one thing that they could point to where we were better off than we were 4 years ago. One major thing that improved the lives of the American people. The campaign ended with, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, a misogynist. Even Barack Obama and Stacey Abrams calling African-American men misogynists and sexist. Stacey Abrams says they're racist. And a lot of what they said was just flat-out lies. Kamala told us for 3 years the border was secure. It was not. Everybody knew it wasn't. She said for 3 years that inflation was transitory and denied that we had an inflation problem. She also lied during the campaign, her final argument. She told American women, she told them that Donald Trump's going to sign a national abortion ban. That was a lie. She said Donald Trump will limit your access to contraception. That was a lie. She said that he would ban IVF. That was a lie. She tried to scare seniors and say that he's going to take away your Social Security and Medicare. He promised he would not do it. Benefits went up in his first term when he was president. So analyze that strategy. You can't run on what you did or what you succeeded at. So you're going to go to the lowest level, tell lies, and call people Nazis and fascists. Not a good strategy, Stephen A. Not nice either.
Well, I'm not going to deny that it's not the greatest strategy. I don't know if you're entirely, completely accurate in everything that you're saying, because I can think of lies that the other side as well. But I will say this to you. If you're Kamala Harris, what you could have done is lean on the reports that the economy was actually getting better, and it actually is in a good place compared to where it was. You could have acknowledged that. Guess what?
True.
I was a bit wrong in the position that I took on the border. And obviously, it's not about flip-flopping. It's about me correcting the error of my ways. She didn't do that. But in the end, I will tell you, I'll do you a favor and tell you where the biggest crime came about from the Democratic Party. You had a situation with Biden, who promised to be a transitional president. He labeled himself a stopgap, somebody that was going to come in there, sort of calm the waters, and then move out the way for a young blood to come into the fray, and new blood rather to come into the fray and be the next president of the United States. There was supposed to be a red wave in the midterms. It didn't happen. What does he do? He's the incumbent. He gets comfortable and says, I'm not going anywhere. And that threw everything up in flux. So suddenly he's debilitated a bit. The cognitive decline is something that we were witnessing. People were noticing it but didn't want to speak about it. You let him go on stage and get embarrassed. June 27th, 3.5 weeks later, you elevate her. She never went through a primary or anything like that, which raised question marks. And then what do you do from there on, Sean? You've got you obviously they felt they needed to do whatever they could to get votes. This is what they were doing, and it didn't work. It didn't work, and that's what you have to applaud. The American people have spoken. They said, we're not going for that. We're looking at policies. We're not going for all of that.
One last question. We don't have a lot of time. She never had to explain one time why she co-sponsored the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, and said she'd eliminate the filibuster. She never had to explain her position on gun mandatory buyback. She never had to explain why she said the rioters in 2020, 574 of them, won't stop, shouldn't stop, and she won't stop supporting them. She never had to explain. She never had to explain, why we're going to pay for free sex change operations for illegal immigrants.
Can I help you out?
And give them amnesty when they don't respect our laws. Will you agree with me, and we have 30 seconds for you to answer, that legacy media is dead? Do you agree or disagree?
I'm not going to say it's dead because I'm holding out hope that it can be resuscitated. But hold on to this moment, Sean,
dead.
Because it's a rarity. Hold on to this for the rest of your life, okay? I am going to agree with you from the standpoint that what was done was inexcusable because it was favoritism in the media, and it had no place in it for a presidential election. You got to call balls and strikes, and that's not what people on both sides are doing, but especially the left over the last couple of days. They ain't calling balls and strikes, and they're wrong. You're right, and it's your day. Enjoy it. It's a rare moment, but you got it.
I'm not looking for a rare moment. You and I have an announcement we're going to make pretty soon. I think it'll shock people. Fair enough? Can I tease it that way?
Oh, Lord. No, there's nothing to tease as of yet. I'm
there is. And I know your family. I've met your family. They're wonderful people. You're a good man, Stephen A. Appreciate you being with us.